Hi guys, how are you today? I'm back with my friend Jerry. Hi. And hey Jerry, what? Let's ditch the masks, okay? For this, because we're safe. We're safe. Okay. All right. Let's just pull it down there. How's that? That's better. Okay. Now today, we're going to talk about the string family. Oh, the string family. A string family. What are they? Oh, they use strings. That's right, they use strings. Now we talked about the brass family, and remember how sound is produced. Yeah. So a little instrument, oh, that sounds high, and a big instrument, low. Okay. Now we talked about like length and stuff. Yeah. Okay. I remember now. Okay. So if something's short, it's high. If it's long, it's low. That's right. If something is thick, it's low. If something is thin, it's high. Right? If something is tight, it's high. If something is loose, it's low. Okay. Big and small, big and small. Long and short, long and short. Thick and thin, thick and thin. And what was the other one? Loose and tight. Loose and tight. Okay, so the string instruments use just strings, and they make the sounds change by using their strings and putting your fingers down or pushing other things down, making the strings longer or shorter. Okay, now on the brass instruments, we made them lower by doing what? We made them longer. That's right, we made them longer. So like especially the trombone. Oh, I like the trombone. Yeah, the trombone. What did I do with the slide? You moved the slide out and it made it longer. That's right, and it got lower. And I pushed valves down on the tuba and the trumpet, and it made it go lower because it was longer. That's right, so it was longer. And I tightened my lips. And if they were tight, it was high. And if they were loose, low. And right. Okay. But, yeah, the strings are different. Oh, how? Well, instead of making things longer to make the sound change, okay, you have to make things shorter to make it go higher. So on a brass instrument, they go longer to go lower, but the string instruments, they go shorter to go higher. That's right. And because of that, the instrument would have to be really, really long to play all the notes. Now remember, the trumpet and the tuba had valves? Yeah. How many valves were in the trumpet? There were 3, right? And the tuba, 4. Well, the stringed instruments will use a lot of different strings. Oh, sometimes just one string. Oh, but that's not a real good instrument. No, I guess not. But sometimes 4 strings, that's kind of the normal number for the violin family. Oh, but guitars have 6 strings. Okay, sometimes they have 12 strings. Ooh. And 12 strings, yeah. And sometimes they may even have more. Ooh. Then you have the harp, and it has a whole bunch of strings. I think it's like 60 strings or something like that. Maybe 66 strings. Ooh. And you have to pull a different string. Now I have a kind of a harp here I'm going to show you in a bit. Okay. So I think what we could do right now is I could get some of the instruments and talk a little more about how we make them play high and low. Okay. And that would be a good thing to do. So why don't you have a seat like the rest of the boys and girls? Okay. And you can watch while I talk about the rest of the string instruments. That would be really good. Okay. This is a string bass, also known as a bass violin, also known as a bass viol, and sometimes just called a bass. It has a bunch of names. That's a lot of names. Jerry, just watch, okay? Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're not, but that's okay. All right, you can ask a question if you have a question. Okay. Okay. Jerry, okay, now, Remember we talked a little while ago with Jerry about the strings. The bass has 4 strings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool beans? And the sound is made by plucking or bowing the string. Now the pluck is just take my fingers, and that's how you play if you're playing jazz. I like to play jazz. But you can also use a bow. Now the bow is really pretty cool. All of the violin family instruments use a bow. Now they call it a bow because it looks sort of like a bow if you're having a bow and arrows. And what's really cool about it is it has this stuff on it. Get up here kind of close. See that white? It's not really white. It's actually little short strings, but it's not strings. It's horsehair. It's from the tail of a horse. Now you don't hurt the horse. You just cut the tail off, some of the stuff off of the tail, and it grows back just like your hair. But the only thing that really works for strings is horse's hair. They've tried to make things, nothing really works like horse's hair. So you get a horse's hair, and when you pull it across a string, it causes the string to vibrate. And that makes various sounds. Now remember we said we had to have 4 strings to play high and really high and low. Where the tuba, I can change my lips. On the bass, I have to change my strings. Okay? Also, if something is thick, it's low. If something is thin, it's high. Now I'm going to get up here real close. And notice the strings. The string is thick. The next one is not as thick. The next one is not quite as thick. And the last one is really pretty thin. Cool? And then here's what it looks like close up if I pull the bow across it. But I can't really do it there. If you can, look real close and see if you can see the string vibrating. Isn't that cool? That's what makes the sound. Now I'm going back I go. La, 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 la. Now, just like on the trumpet and the bugle and the trombone, if I buzz my lips, make them tighter or softer, I can only play certain notes. So on the stringed instruments, if I bow, that's the only note I can play on that string. Now, Jerry, what did I say about the stringed instruments to change the pitch to make it higher or lower? You have to make the string shorter. That's right. How can I make the string shorter? I could cut it off and stuff. That isn't very good. What I do is I just push my finger down. This is called a fingerboard because it's a board and I put my fingers on it. So I put my finger on the fingerboard and I get close. That's called a walking bass. If I go way up here, now remember high do and low do? Do, 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 do. You guys who are like 4th and 5th graders, you're into fractions, maybe 3rd grade now. If I take this string and make it half as long as it is normally, it'll play twice as high. Oh, let's see. Here's the length. If I look halfway, it works on every string. And all things in between. So if I wanted to play a song, Okay, now, we've talked about thick and thin and long and short and all. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the violin family. Now, Jerry and I, we live together. We're a family. We live in the same place. And a family a lot of times looks like each other, sometimes not. And that's okay. Like the string family, the big family of the strings, there's all kinds of different instruments. But the smaller family are just the violin family, kind of like the Brown family, like me and Jerry and Mrs. Brown and our new little dog, Bella Brown. Anyway, back on track. This is a part of the violin family. What's really cool about the violin family is they all look alike. And a lot of times that happens in families. So this is a string bass or a bass. This is a violin, and it's from the violin family. Now look, they really, really look alike. There's also another instrument, the viola, which is a little bigger than a violin. There's a cello, which is about half as big as the string bass. So they all look alike. Now this one has some stuff on it, and I'll show you here in a second what we have to do with it. But other than that, they look alike. So if I were a giant, I could take the string bass, put it on my neck like a violin plays, and play it like a violin. But I'm not a giant. So I'm going to put the bass down for a second. I mean, longer than a second. Let's put it this way so we can see the strings. Yay! And I'm going to get the violin back. Now, I play the bass on the floor. Well, this would be silly if I played the violin on the floor. I can't do that. Sometimes in like folk musicians, they'll play it on their chest or their stomach. But the way you play a violin, this little thing right here, I put it on my chin, on my shoulder, and then I pull the bow across the strings. Okay? And just like the bass, the strings are thick and thin, but they're not as thick. Now there's another thing I'm going to show you. This little place right here, that's called a bridge. And the bass has a big bridge. This one has a little bridge. And this is a little tuning area here. But the string vibrates only from here up to here. And that's called the nut. That's a silly name, the nut. And the string just vibrates. Now if I find halfway on the violin, uh-oh. It's just like the bass, it's just twice as high. The bass, when I play the bass, there's nothing on here to tell me where to put my fingers. I just have to know where to put them. The same thing is true with the violin, but these are for beginners, for people that are just learning to play violin. So they've put pieces of tape on it so that they know where to put their fingers to play a different note. And what's really cool about the violin, they can play things called a trill. And it's when you play two notes real fast. And I'm not a violinist, you can tell that. I'm a bass player, I play the bass. So this is the violin family. Now, I have one of the neatest little cool things in the whole world. Let's say you're really little, but you want to learn to play violin. Then you can get a really little violin. Is that cool or is that cool? This is not a toy. It's called a 1/16 violin. Now it's not a 16th as long as a regular big violin, but it's still called a 1/16 violin. And it's going to be really high, right? Because it's really small? Uh-oh, wait a second. Little tiny violin is supposed to be really high. It's the same pitch, the same note. Jerry. Yeah. How could that be? The strings are looser. the strings are looser. So if I make the strings looser on this violin, I can make it vibrate the same as the other violin, make the same tune. That's what's really cool about the violins, is no matter how big or small they are, they'll still make the same sound. Okay, this is called an auto harp. Now it's like a harp, and maybe you've seen a harp before and you play it with strings and it's all real pretty. This is called an auto harp because it's an automatic harp. And if I play it, I want to play some chords, like when you play chords on the piano, you push a bunch of different keys down. Well, on this, when I see the felt, and there's some holes in it, so if I strum all the strings, ready, hold your ears. Oh! If I push this down, I'm going to play a G chord, and I push it down. It only lets the strings that are within that chord, the ones that are supposed to play. So it's called an auto harp, also called a chroma harp sometimes. This one is, this is a chroma harp. Cool beans. And it's just like the name, like Ford or Chevrolet or Boston something, I don't know. Now, the auto harp is cool. It's a really neat instrument. You can play it sitting down and play it with it on your lap and strum it, but it's an Appalachian instrument from our area, and it's actually made to be played kind of holding it in my arms, sort of like a guitar, but it's now, if I push this button down, I get a C. Hello. Thick, thin, thick, thin, long, short. Now, if you look real close, every string is just a little bit thinner than the strings before it. And these are called the tuning pegs. And this is, remember the thing I talked about, the nut where the string started? Notice they get shorter and shorter and shorter. So it allows every string to play a different pitch or different note. What's cool is that my aunt came back from Timbuktu. So I can strum the auto harp and I can play different chords, like sing along with it. And look how many chords there are. So I'm just going to start strumming some. That's a song by itself, but I don't think I'd want to sing that song. What's really, really cool about the auto harp is you can actually even play melodies on it, sort of. So listen, I'm going to play Simple Gifts. The last instrument we're going to talk about today is the electric bass. Now, it's just like the string bass, but it's not as big, not as long, and it's called an electric bass because it uses an amplifier to play. If I take this out and I try to play it without, now I'm playing it, listen real close. Nothing at all. So I have to have an amplifier. Now, kind of loud. What's really cool is, just like on your TV or your radio, I can turn the volume up. And I can turn the volume down. I'll leave it down right now because there's other people in school and they probably want to hear me playing bass. The way the bass guitar, the electric bass guitar plays is it has little microphones. Now, just like the big bass, it has the bridge. Right here, it has a nut up here. The strings are this long. But inside this are little microphones, just like, hello, how are you? This is Joe Smith with today's weather statements. And when I do the string, the microphone picks up the vibration. If I turn the sound off, the microphone's turned off. That's as loud as it gets. Okay. One difference on the electric bass, and some basses, electric basses don't have these. These are called frets. And they're little bars that I push down and it helps me know where the notes are. And so you don't fret about what note to play. I guess I don't know. So if I do this, Jerry, yeah, how do we make a string instrument play higher? Make the string shorter. Also, there's some dots, and those help me kind of know where I'm at on the strings. They're on the side too. I cheated on my bass. I put some dots on the side of my bass. Remember, if we make the string half as long, it's twice as high. Like high do and low do. Low do. High do. Two dots. One dot, two dots. This tells me on my guitar if I want to play oh. I could be in Pete the Cat's band if I wanted to be. I'd have to play better though. Well, that was pretty neat today, wasn't it? Yeah, it was really. I like the strings. I do too. Hey, what? Who's that? Whoa! It's Pete the Cat! Pete the Cat. Yeah, I think he lives here in the music room, doesn't he? Yeah. So it's okay if he doesn't have a mask. Yeah, speaking of masks, I think it's time, don't you, Jerry? Yeah, we gotta go. Okay. All right, well, listen, I had a good time today. I hope you did too. And we'll be back. La, la, la. Oh, how's that? That's pretty good. I'll put mine on. Okay, till the next time. See ya. Oh, see ya.